I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I gotta say real quick though, I was just talking to Mike Moore, just whispering, and we've got a lot of wrestlers in here, so I'm guessing you'll understand what I'm talking about. You're in those matches, you got the guys or the girls in front of you wrestling, your teammates. One goes out there, one gets a tech fall, another one goes out there and gets a pin, and all of a sudden you're coming up next, and you're like, well, crap, they just had these big matches, I better deliver. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. You guys had these fire speakers before me, so thank you guys for that. I feel the pressure, but I'm so honored to be here. I'm so honored and so blessed. This sport, wrestling, it's given me so much, and it's changed my life. And I'm sure we can all say that in our own ways. And I love that phrase. Everyone wrestles because we do truly all wrestle with our own things, our own challenges, whether it's physical, family, work, whatever. There's always these opponents. And I've learned so much from the sport. It's given me so much. I just remember getting into the sport. And actually, even before that, my mom, she was 16 years old when she had me. And I never met my biological father. He was never around. So for the longest time, she was a single parent. And she had no idea I was going to be born missing my leg. Not even the doctors knew that. So she told me the day I was born, they were shocked, and they actually rushed me out of the operating room without letting her see me because they didn't know if I was going to live or die at that moment. And she said they came back and they told her, they said, we don't know what happened, but your son is missing his right leg. They said, other than that, he's perfectly healthy, and we can't really explain it to you. And you can imagine, as I started to grow up, I knew I was different. Kids would stare at me, adults would stare at me, and so I dealt with those self-confidence issues for a while. But wrestling, it's really what helped me to overcome that. I just remember one day, we moved from California to Arizona. I'm 14 years old, and I went to wrestling practice with my cousin. And I just remember going to practice. I come home that day wearing a white t-shirt. T-shirt's all stretched out, blood stains all over it. My face is swollen, but I had the biggest smile on my face. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, this is the funnest thing I've ever done. So I'm gonna be a wrestler. And I remember she looked at me, she said, did you look at your face? She's like, that doesn't look very fun. Let's get you into art or band or something else. She's like, I don't think you want to do that. And I couldn't explain it to her at that moment, but wrestling, I felt like it was my calling. And I felt like it was finally my way of showing people what I was capable of. Really, I couldn't hide out there. When you're out there on the mat, it's just you and your opponent, just like life. You have to go out there, you have to embrace it, you have to go through that grind. And wrestling was going to teach me that, what that grind was all about. And I wish I could tell you I was a natural from the beginning. I wasn't. But I had the dream of being the best. And I just remember writing it down. I still carry it. 14 years old, I wrote it down on this little sticky note of being the champ. And, I went through that grind. One of my favorite phrases is, grind now, you shine later. And that's what this sport teaches you. It puts you through that grind of practice. It puts you through that grind mentally, just going through things and overcoming those challenges because, the way I see it, we all have a challenge. But what this sport teaches you is that you never let your challenge become the excuse to fail. And you never let your challenge become your excuse to quit and fall short. And I was learning that, from this sport. And I just remember going through high school, not doing too well, but by my senior year, I was a couple of times state champion. And I wanted to wrestle in college. I wanted to wrestle the big dogs. But it's kind of overlooked there. People didn't think I was capable of. But, one of my favorite quotes says, impossible is found only in the dictionary of fools. So walked on to Arizona State. Love that program there. But, I just remember learning some lessons there. I faced some hard times, my family did. And I remember one in particular. I was thinking about quitting my sophomore year because my mom, she was struggling. She lost her house. They couldn't afford it anymore. And I just remember I'm there in the wrestling room just talking to my coach and, just almost crying. And he told me something. He's like, look, he said, it doesn't matter if you're on a wrestling mat or if it's in your life. He said, you're going to have opponents come up that you have to wrestle. He said, all you can control is how you react to those things. He said, if you feel sorry for yourself, you're not going to do anything. He says, you're not going to overcome. You got to go out there, you got to push. He says, how are you going to react? And, it's funny because I remember one match in particular, right after that, we're at the national tournament, and I remember being on my side of the mat. I have to wrestle a guy. He's beaten me twice before. So he's on his side, and this is the quarterfinals. So, I'm nervous, and I'm looking at him. He's staring at me. And I look at my coach in my corner just for like some last minute instructions, and he had this face like he was so happy he wasn't me right now. And I just remember I start laughing, I smile at him, and that was another life lesson right there. What he was telling me, how are you going to react right now? And I took that away the rest of my life. And I know we all have our own wrestling stories, our own backgrounds, our own things that happen, but it's those little things, those life experiences, those lessons that the sport has taught you, and that's why it's so important to keep growing. It's more than just the medals, it's more than just being on top of the podium. It's how it makes those individuals, those strong men and women, and I've been blessed. It's changed my life. Wrestling, really, I believe wrestling, it showed me that if I believe it in my mind, I can be unstoppable. Anybody can be unstoppable. And I'm just honored to be here. Thank you for letting me share. But in closing, I want to recite this poem for you. This is my poem. It's called Unstoppable. So hopefully you'll like it. Every soul who comes to earth with a leg or two at birth must wrestle his opponent knowing it's not what is, it's what can be that measures worth. Make it hard, just make it possible. And through pain, I'll not complain. My spirit is unconquerable. Fearless, I will face each foe, for I know I am capable. I don't care what's probable. Through blood, sweat, and tears, I am unstoppable. But I'm so honored to be here, and let's continue to grow this great sport. Thank you.